Most people are average. There's a small number of people that are well below average, and then there are a few people that are outstanding. And Kenneth is one of those people that is outstanding. And what makes him worthy of this award and makes this the kind of city that I want to live in is that outstanding people don't forget the average people and the below average people. He's dedicated his life to making sure people don't have to overcome the barriers that he had to overcome, that people don't face the challenges at such a young age that he faced. And so I am proud on behalf of our office and Council District 8 and the Union Rescue Mission to present this award to Mr. Kenneth Chancey tonight. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna praise him till I'm gone. I'm gonna praise him till I'm gone. When the praises go up,
the blessings come down. When the praises go up, the blessings come down. It seems like blessings keep falling in my lap.
This honor with deep gratitude. I'm humbled to stand here accepting an award that speaks to my highest childhood aspiration, escaping homelessness. This award, with my sweat and fingerprints and all, embodies the beauty of my Skid Row experience, a physical manifestation which forever remind me that for all the cruelty and hardship I've had to endure in this world, I have not been made a prisoner of my socioeconomic status. I refuse to let my hard times obscure my good times and remain steadfast in ensuring that my light shined despite the bone-chilling darkness that left me shivering on too many nights wondering what I would do next. I stand here today as living proof of the outcomes you can expect when you give an opportunity to a homeless human being. And yet I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge this considerable compassion, support, and personal attention that I have received on the road from homelessness into being a productive member of society. I am at the beginning of my service to this village which has lifted me out of the trenches, and compared to some of the legends I'm sharing the stage with, my accomplishments are slight. The most significant issue surrounding my receipt of this Dare to Dream award is the fact that I'm here alive and smiling and grateful for the 25 years that I've been blessed with. You see, because I'm not your typical honoree. I grew up with young parents who confronted one another daily and struggled financially. Despite their most valiant efforts, we wound up homeless by the time I was 11. We would go back and forth from the streets to my grandmother's house, and then back to the streets, and then back to my grandma's house again. And after getting back on track, we fell off the wagon once more, this time resulting in a foster home placement for my siblings and I. After half a year of moving from group home to group home, my father was granted reunification on one condition: you must have a roof over your children's head. You see, he was homeless at the time. But my lawyer, who is here, seated at, I believe, table 7, who's lovely and waving at me, from Children's Law Center, my attorney argued to former mayor of Los Angeles, Judge Hahn, who's now a judge in Santa Monica Court, but he was my foster care judge at the time, that poverty is not grounds for keeping a child away from their parents. So I ask you to allow my clients to stay with their father at the Union Rescue Mission. The judge, having heard my testimony about the condition of the foster care system and its negative impact on my education, allowed us to live with my father on Skid Row. That was my introduction to the Union Rescue Mission. We lived in a 64 square foot room that housed 2 bunk beds, a mini fridge, and a closet. It was myself, my little sister, and my dad. We lived there for 2 years, and every morning my younger sister walked to the train for school with me from 5th and San Pedro all the way to Pershing Square.
My God.
And while things were hard for me, she was going through the same things at the same time, and she was a girl and 2 years younger. Through music, I tried my best to shield her from that type of environment. We shared one earphone at a time. You may have seen it on CNN. And we would sing Alicia Keys and Lenny Williams and Toni Braxton, pretty much any R&B song that you felt compelled to sing because of the high notes that were being hit. The music helped us as we walked through the same musty smells and tried to ignore the same petty fistfights and overlook every attempt to sell us some drugs. But it was also at the Union Rescue Mission that I experienced my good times. While in high school, the stability of the shelter provided me an opportunity to participate in sports and maintain a 4.0 GPA while running 2 successful campaigns for student body president. That success, you see, it was individuals like Kitty Davis Walker at the Union Rescue Mission who took my story to a nationwide audience, where my accomplishments were featured on CNN, KTLA, ABC, and the Huffington Post, among several other outlets. It also connected me to my first job at Inner City Arts. It was there that I filled out my college applications and got into Loyola Marymount University. But that wasn't enough for the Union Rescue Mission, because when I was accepted, they donated the supplies that allowed me to experience a normal dorm room experience. Clothing, towels, hygiene, laundry, detergent, all the things that I was not thinking of at the time. And while in college, I was the recipient of several scholarships, including the Taylor Michael Scholarship funded by the Magic Johnson Foundation, the Union Rescue Mission Scholarship funded by the Andre Ethier and the Dodgers Foundation, the Amelia Bass Scholarship funded by Congressmember Karen Bass, as well as several grants through governmental programs. And it was during my tenure at LMU that I grew tremendously, both personally and professionally. I successfully lobbied the governor and the state legislature to prevent continuous cuts to the Crowell Grant awarded to private universities. And I published a book in partnership with the Union Rescue Mission entitled From Homeless to Hopeful, Stories from Skid Row. Last, and my greatest accomplishment, I feel, assisted in the development of the new program on LMU's campus known as the Guardian Scholars Program, which serves as a resource for former foster, homeless, and emancipated youth. And since graduating, I've continued my service to the village that helped raise me, now serving the chair of the Los Angeles Homeless and Poverty Committee, Councilman Harris-Dawson. As its legislative deputy, writing effective and progressive policy that benefits South Los Angeles and over 4 million residents citywide. I work long hours and long days. I maintain 50-hour work weeks, and yet I couldn't be any happier. I've had the opportunity to witness 2 sides of this coin known as homelessness. I know too personally the complications that arise when seeking to escape the streets, and I've spent endless nights pondering a solution for it. Still, the realities of the streets are hard to come to terms with. Some people will make it out, but for some, the streets will consume every glimmer of hope until there's nothing there, nothing but despair. And so I come here with an acute sense of the cost associated with homelessness, filled with the difficult questions about the relationship between the hardship of being homeless and the realities to my limitation as an arm of the city government, and the delicate balancing act I must perfect in order to ensure that my internalization of one matter doesn't overcome the other. I was told when I started this job not to take it personally, but the stakes are too high. Make no mistake, people are out on the streets dying. I lost my sister last month on September 13th to the streets, that same sister. I miss singing with her. I miss having her under my arm, walking to the train with her. She was 23 years old and passed away due to complications due to substance abuse. But Miss Stephanie Marie Nicole Costello was known as a death risk to many of the experts who study this field. She was formerly in foster care, faced deep depression and mental anxiety, never could escape the grasp of the streets, and was a victim of domestic abuse. Yet we all have let this transition aid youth through the cracks. They say everything happens for a reason, and her death has reinforced my commitment to eradicating homelessness, and my dedication will never waver. Homelessness is not new and has been with us since the dawn of time. And in the beginning, its morality wasn't questioned. The blame for homelessness was placed solely on the individual it affected. But times are different now, and homelessness can no longer be placed on a single individual. We feel its impact in almost every urban society throughout this nation, and none being worse than Los Angeles. In every community within the city, residents and businesses and organizations have stepped up to the plate, paying more in taxes, increasing their allotted amount of volunteer time, and expanding their ability to provide resources to those on the street in what seems to be a minimal impact effort. Yet this is the largest collaborative endeavor we have embarked on to alleviate homelessness. And then there are my brothers and sisters who are currently in the same place I was. Those who have devoted their entire lives to the pursuit of normalcy, yet they remain vulnerable and on our streets. Those who have abused substances to relieve the suffering that comes with knowing that the bed they make that night will be on cold, hard concrete. The unrecognized faces who put themselves in front of moving vehicles at freeway off-ramps in hopes for pocket change. The young parents, like my parents, who wake up 4 times a night ensuring police and social workers are not near their Honda Civic, which their children now call home. And lately, homeless among individuals have increasingly given way to homelessness within families. The abundance of strict lease agreements means the inability for renters to take in their family members, although some do, and as a result face homelessness themselves. The destruction of our federal safety net, resulting in larger contributions from our local community, straining our regional resources, and limiting our ability everywhere else. The lack of rental units, both being developed and planned down the road, has caused rents to soar beyond what is financially feasible for average families across this region. You guys, we have college students experience homelessness. And all this being said, I didn't bring with me today a definitive solution for the problems that arise with homelessness. What I do know is that meeting this challenge related to the struggle of the streets will require the same vision, hard work, and persistence of myself and all of my brothers and sisters who endure so boldly the suffering, the hunger, and the pain that arises as a circumstance from living on the streets. And it will require us to think in new ways about the cause of homelessness. And we must do so while also acknowledging the hard truth. We may not eradicate homelessness in our lifetimes. But I still believe in my heart that the endless hard work we do can be justified on humanitarian grounds. And engaging with human beings in a social manner will benefit them in the long run. Not everyone will escape the streets, but for those who would like to, we must be there to offer them a hand and lift them up off the cold, hard concrete. Yes. Any inaction or reduction to the momentum we've developed thus far will lead to a costly intervention later on down the road. And this brings me to my original statement. I receive this honor with deep gratitude. I am humbled to stand here accepting an award that speaks to achieving my highest childhood aspiration, escaping homelessness. My sister is gone, and although my gratitude for this award is both genuine and profound, it is my biggest upset that Stephanie Marina Cole Costello could not be right here to escape homelessness with me. But I share my story for my brothers and sisters who are still on the streets, to let them know that escaping the darkness is possible. I share my story to shine a light of hope, which can be too often overlooked, but I need you guys to understand that the absence of hope can rot any person from within. And that's why helping people house their families and educate their children and care for the sick is not an act of charity, but for too many people, like my 23-year-old little sister who died on Venice Beach on September 13, 2017, it may be a lifeline of support that helps them hold on to their life. So to all of you who have assisted in paving my path, and to all of you who have blazed the trail before me, showing me the way, to all of you who have allowed me to dare to dream, thank you so, so very much.
I did